The views and opinions expressed in this program are solely those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of this hosting platform or any associated entities.
We're putting the band back together.
Forget it. No way. We're on a mission from God.
Welcome to After Dark with Jamie and Clint, a podcast where our hosts examine questions about the Christian faith. Questions that are not easy to ask and even harder to answer. No topic is off limits. Contents of this podcast may cause you to rethink long-held beliefs. Listener discretion is advised. And now, here's Jamie and Clint.
Thank you, Deloy. Appreciate the intro. Yes, you're watching and listening to After Dark with Jamie and Clint. I'm Clint. He's Jamie. Still Jamie. And how you been?
Oh, man. I sit every week. Every week. It was a great 4th of July holiday. We didn't do anything. Guess we didn't look at any firecrackers, man. We just stayed at the house.
That's the best kind. How about you guys? We went out on the lake with a very good friend of ours who is a listener of ours. Nice.
Yeah. Did you watch The Patriot?
No, I didn't. I didn't watch any TV.
So any red-blooded American out there, especially in the South, if you did not watch The Patriot on the 4th.
Hey, you remember where it was filmed? Right up the road. Right here in South Carolina. Nope.
Chester, I know, and some other areas around in there, and I think some of Virginia, North Carolina. A lot of extras from our area. Yeah, a lot of extras in the movie. Pretty cool. Pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Well, man, today's topic,
speaking of listeners,
is a listener question, right? And we've told you guys, if you're a listener and you have questions, send them in, and we will take a look and do our best to take care of that and address it. And we're going to devote an entire show, an episode, to a listener question. Because we love this stuff, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to read the question. Clint did all the hard work. So, I get to read the question. Here we go. It's actually addressed to Delroy. I have a question for Delroy. So, yeah. What does the Bible say to do if you see someone, a Christian, catering to someone that is completely doing the wrong things? Basically how I would interpret that is what would you say to a Christian, a believer, who is letting someone else take advantage of them or walk all over their kindness? Is that a good way to put that, you think?
Yeah. I've heard it said, well, no, they're not taking, they're not walking all over me. I'm showing them grace. And I beat my head against the wall. And again, just like we talked about a couple weeks ago, Grace Revisited. Yeah, people say grace, they don't understand, and it's like, oh man, don't use the G word. I'm aware of that, but
I got to jump in and tell you that I've done that. Yeah, I've done it with my kids. Okay, I have shown, and my wife had to bust me on it, and I've done it with people in my life. Give and give. So I'm kind of on the opposite end of this thing.
Just so you know, you can relate to.
I totally can, because you're like, I'm commanded to be gracious, and show grace and bestow grace and give what you don't deserve, And then someone along the lines that gets to that place of, like you said, they take advantage. Mm-hmm. And so let me ask you before we jump in, at what point does it cease to become grace on the part of the giver?
I think it stops being grace when the other person is, they're not, it becomes detrimental to their growth as a person, not just spiritual growth, but their growth and where their station in life, right?
Yeah, I see that.
People stumble, people fall, if they're not getting back up, the reason they're not getting back up is because you're helping them. They got what they need from your graciousness.
Like a 30-year-old guy in his mom's basement playing video games. Yeah, no job or a part-time pizza gig. No offense if that's you, but if that is you need to check yourself. But my point is, that's what you're saying. Like you can do better. Yeah. And you choose to not do better because somebody else is helping you.
Yeah. Well, I could be lazy and,
Well, the other word is enabling.
enabling. So, yes. Okay. Yeah. So, I was scared, for a moment, because you was talking about, seeing on the other side of it. I was like, oh man, you gonna make me the Burgermeister Meiserberger this episode?
But hey, I'll tell you what, man. When I think we can
go to opposite extremes all the time with anything. And I did that. I used to be very legalistic and religious before I knew Jesus. Then it was, okay, now I'm all about grace. But without meaning to.
Yeah.
And, man, yeah, we need to learn. It's a hard lesson to learn.
Yeah. And just to play back on last week. You talked about, that how, Paul talked about, that now we're under grace, we're above the law under grace, do we do away with the law? And you made a good point about, being organized and, and it avoids chaos. I think, you just hit it when you said about the extremes, you're going to be super legalistic. Well, yeah, you can also take grace and, to the extreme. Without, I think the law, while we're not under it, we're not condemned by it. I think it anchors us to keep us from going.
That's good. It anchors us.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. So,
because I've always really, I don't want to say struggled, but I've wrestled with, right?
yeah.
I've wrestled with, where's the place of law and grace then if we're not under it anymore?
Right.
I like what you said. It helps anchor us. Kind of keep us grounded.
Yeah.
Basically it.
Yeah.
Because I think about it like this. My kids, outside of Julia, my youngest, they all drive, right?
Yeah.
And she wants to drive. And she does a little bit, but she's not on a license yet. But it would be the equivalent of you take your kid everywhere and never teach them to drive and never expect them to drive. And, they don't have to drive and get a license. And then one day, you can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
What does that do for them?
Yeah.
They're screwed, man.
You've done them in December.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so if you have, like you said, where the law, the rules, or whatever word you want to use, for orderliness, it anchors grace. And it's like, look, I might do this for you while you need me to.
Yeah.
But there's coming a time where you're expected to.
Mm-hmm.
But then I'm also going to train you, equip you, and give you the skills to do it.
Right.
I think that might be the.
Yeah. I have a couple of verses. This would be Luke chapter 6.
Okay. Dr. Luke.
And I think those that are,
He was the doctor, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You got it. EJ, right? But I think that those that are being manipulated, they can taken advantage of. They use these verses to say, hey, well, I'm not being a doormat.
Yeah.
And I would like to read these verses. And I think if I read them at face value, you can see where they get this from. But I think also it's you're taking it out of context. So anyway, in Luke, in Luke chapter 6, verses 30 and 35 as the two verses. And in Luke chapter 30, I'll read it. It says, Jesus is speaking. He instructs. He says, give to everyone who begs from you.
Ooh.
And from one who takes away your gifts, do not demand them back.
This is Jesus speaking.
Yeah. And in verse 35, Jesus says, but I tell you, love your enemies and do good and lend, expecting nothing in return. And your reward will be great, and you will be the sons and daughters of the Most High, for He is kind, and He is kind to those who are ungrateful and evil. So, they and they're face value, yes, it really does look like it upholds what people are saying. I'm just, I'm not being manipulated. I'm not being taken advantage of. I'm not being used. I'm showing grace. And here's two verses that tell me that I am supposed to do this. I give to everyone who begs from you.
Yeah. Because I'm thinking of a person that would read that and say, but Clint, it says give to everyone who begs from you, right? That's what it seems.
Yeah, it does.
Says.
Yeah. But if you look a little bit closer in, the give to everyone who begs from you,
Yeah.
is someone who's asking, "Hey, I need help." Someone who has taken advantage of you, who's manipulated you, you don't ask, or they don't ask. You volunteer.
Okay.
You was talking about the license thing. They don't have to get a license, and they don't have to ask you to take them somewhere, because you're going to volunteer to do it.
Yeah.
They'll say, here's manipulation. Oh, I've got to walk to town, and then next thing you know, I'll take you, and they know that you will. All they have to do is kind of
Play on your emotions. Yeah, play on it.
I gotcha.
And pull those heartstrings, as they say.
Yeah, so that's begging. Yeah. But the context here, give to everyone who begs from you, is someone who's saying, hey, can you help me?
Now, let me stop you right there and ask you this. And we've all seen this. Now, I'm not trying to go on one side or the other, just so y'all know I'm not judging or hating on anybody, but we've all seen the people who have the signs, how you got the underpass, the intersection, whatever. And some of those people really need help. I get it. But a lot of those people are just manipulating.
Yeah.
I say that because you and I both know, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners know, there's a lot of help for people out there.
Yeah.
From churches to other organizations, non-religious organizations, lots of help to get you on your feet, shelter, clothes, food, jobs, Yeah. So sometimes I see that stuff and I'm like, man, we work with these people and I know of people. So why are you doing this? But again, I don't know their personal situation. But would you say that, okay, I'm obligated because they're out here begging, that I'm obligated to give to this person at the stoplight?
No, because it says, give to everyone who begs from you.
Personally.
Yeah. You stand there with a sign up. And I'll give you a personal story that happened when I was going to seminary, and there's 3 or 4 of us. We went out to dinner, and so after dinner we were going back to campus, and we'll pull up to this intersection, and there's a person there that was holding up the sign, and well, one of the guys, he pulled out some money, and he motioned for the guy to come over to the car, and I was driving, and he was in the passenger seat, and he come over to that side, and he handed it to him, and they exchanged pleasantries, and
Sure.
But he walked back and got back in his place. The light turned green, and I purposely did not take off. There was like 2 cars in front of us, and they took off, and I purposely didn't take off. And I just kind of poked a little bit, and enough to, we were watching the guy.
Yeah.
And so he obviously didn't pay attention to him, that we were still there.
Okay.
And he reaches in his front pocket and pulls out a wad of cash that you could choke a camel with. And so we went on through, and
All right, more money than you have.
you get that moment, right? I was a college student, so I got my pocket. And we really just we really gave him a hard time. We really did. And
Hey, man, can I borrow some money?
yeah, exactly what we're doing with it. We're like, I'm running Mama Nima's noodles tomorrow. Can you give me some money? All this and that. But but he made a good point. He said, yeah, I got taken advantage of, and I know I did, and I won't do it again. But I don't regret giving it to him because I gave from my heart.
Right.
He really put me and the others in our place, like, oh yeah, I get you. So
So I would jump in and say this, that I think sometimes what you're saying is a person may be under personal conviction in a particular situation, and you got to go with what the Holy Spirit is leading you to do, what you think He is, right?
right, and I think I really think that he was the Holy Spirit was, it's hard to do this. And I think it was to be an object lesson for you guys, for us.
So maybe it had nothing to do with giving the guy money,
No.
but to teach you. Yeah. Now, on the flip side of that, I was sitting there thinking, as you were talking about these different situations where people ask for money, beg for money, or beg for help, whatever. I was thinking about the Jerry Lewis telethon. You remember that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember those.
I used to love Jerry Lewis, man. Yeah. I love that guy. So I'd watch his stuff, And I even gave to him when I was a kid. I got some change and gave it, I was like all excited about stuff like that. But what I was thinking was, how many times do we see stuff that comes up on television, the internet, commercials of tons of places to give to, right?
Yeah.
It's in our face all the time.
Yeah.
I don't, unless you feel personally convicted, like the guy at the bridge or whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
you don't necessarily have to give to any of that. You wouldn't be wrong for it.
Yeah.
But what I'm starting to pick up from what you're laying down is, if you come to me, we're in a relationship, we know each other, and I know you, I know your character. And you're like, dude, I hit a hard time, and I have it to give.
Yes.
So if I scroll on past all the charities, that's one thing. But if there's someone in your personal life, so I'm going to say this and then turn it over to you, let you run with it for a minute.
Yeah.
But this has been close to my heart for a long time, okay?
Mm-hmm.
If you guys at home, maybe you agree with me, maybe don't, send Delaware some hate mail. Because this is how I feel, man. In churches, a lot of times, not all, but most churches will give money to go overseas. Yeah, to go to mission trips or missionaries or to go to some fund for their whatever denomination, state thing, whatever. But then I have people in their congregation that they know needs help. And their philosophy, the mentality is, well, I gave it to the church. The church is obligated to take care of them. It takes the heat off of me personally.
Yeah.
Problem I have with that is, I've seen churches, I've seen this. I've been on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
We'll help somebody with a utility bill once a year. But if that person's sick, out of work, can't help themselves, and they always have, and I've seen that, or they were some of the biggest supporters, suddenly hit a hard time, then I help them more than that one time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, if you average out what they have given over the course of whatever, time and money and resources, versus what they're asking for, man, doesn't add up.
Yeah.
Like, you owe them more technically. I don't know if I'm making any sense at all with this, but it seems like to me a lot of times that church members and a lot of us will do things like the mission stuff given to the church because it doesn't get personal for us.
Well, I'm more cynical because I've been on the inside too. Like I've been on staff and at churches, and I don't really care to count right now, but I don't know. Before I got enough headaches to show it. Oh yeah. But
We love the churches.
yeah, we do. We really do. Organizationals. But what I've experienced, you've got those in need in your community. Yeah, it's within the, it's very poetic language. Within the shadow of the steeple, you have people, but you got churches that go on mission trips. We're going to build, we want to have this orphanage. We're going to build this, and we're going to do. And those mission trips, you don't build an orphanage. You go there, you take a tour of the place. You do a little hammer here and there. You clench it. You about to. This is vacation. You never get a chance to go to Jamaica, or you never get a chance to go to the Congo, but we're going on a mission trip. No, you're going on vacation. And I've seen it. And when they come back and they talk, they've been there for a week, come back, and we went to this schoolhouse and we see these kids and we talked and we did Bible lessons with these children, and then we did this. Yeah, you could do that in the shadow of the steeple.
Yeah.
You didn't have to go halfway across the world. But the thing is that you go halfway across the world because then it's a vacation. It's fun.
So let me say this to you on that. You may or may not agree with me, okay? I got a feeling we're on the same page. So my folks out there, I want you to hear this. I don't think you do either, but correct me if I'm wrong. I don't have a problem with people who want to do mission stuff like that. Go for it. Absolutely. My problem is when you neglect the Jerusalem around you, shadow of the steeple, to go do it. You do it here first, wherever your here is. And then whatever you got left, hey, go.
What did you say in the Great Commission? Go into Jerusalem and then use the him. He started here.
Yeah. Go to Jerusalem, right?
Yeah. Start in Jerusalem, start in your hometown.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be great if people said, hey, you know what? I'm all about, God, it sounds like we're hammering on missions, man.
Oh, yeah.
We're not yet. So wouldn't it be great if we said, hey, I got $1,000 to give, right? And I'm going to give this missions work across the world. But before I do, I'm going to analyze my radius, my circumference, my circle. Man, does anybody in need? My whole family.
My area influence.
Is somebody in? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think we could start there. And you know what? Like you said, the shadow of the steeple. A lot of us, us included, right? And Delroy, may be surprised at how much need we uncover right here. And I mean legit need. I don't mean they're taking advantage of legit need.
Yeah.
And we're not, but you look around.
Yeah, there is legit need right here, and there's legit need in, wherever.
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely. In Dominican Republic. But it's a lot more fun to go to Dominican Republic and play around than it is to actually roll up your sleeves and actually contribute.
I agree with that.
You got people here, that take care. You don't have to go nowhere. You don't have that. You got thousands of dollars. You will raise thousands of dollars for an airline ticket to Dominican Republic or to the Congo or to wherever. But you can take thousands of dollars. How much can you affect someone's life in the shadow of the steeple?
I do know one local couple that took off just a few months ago. You probably know of them. I won't call their names on there, but they went to Africa to live for 2 years. All right, I'm gonna live in a hut. The whole thing, they're building a little hut house deal.
Yeah.
Got little kids, the whole nine. He worked for the state, a very good job. She was a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
They left all that behind to go and teach people about some agricultural stuff and all that while they're there, but give them some practical things, but they're leading among these people. Now that I look at and I go, that's missions. Yeah. Like you literally went from here to here. Yeah. And the whole nine. So there are levels of it. I agree with you on that, man. And I didn't mean to get off on a tangent and harp on it, but I was just saying like, hey, we have people around us that need help. Are we helping them? And the thing is, I think we don't do it a lot of times because it gets personal. Because then you get to know that person's burdens. You get to know their life. You put skin in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And you think about it, man, it's like, it's messy.
Yeah.
But if I just drop it in a plate, designate it.
Or not only that, but if I get on a plane, I go somewhere.
I'm on vacation.
And I'm only there for a week.
If it's you on a plane, I'll leave and go back.
They don't, but if it's in the shadow of the steeple, I know them, they know me, and it's an ongoing thing.
Yeah. And then you become the hands and feet of Jesus.
Oh, Lord, help me. I don't do that.
I know of a lot of folks that do this stuff, and I think it's a great thing. So I'm not harping, but I real 1 week. Just anyhow.
Yeah.
It's to travel, settle in, right?
Yeah.
A day or two of whatever they're going to do. Then they have a day or two at the beach.
Yeah.
To the sightsee.
Yeah.
A couple of days maybe. A day to travel back. And I've narrowed it down to like 7 days at one particular time. And I was like, how many days did you actually spend? That maybe 2.
Yeah.
So I'm right there with you. And again, I think their hearts are in the right place, most of them. I really do. I think people's hearts are in the right place.
But, yeah, I know it makes me sound like a, big old turd. I know that. But
big stinky turd.
I'll take that in defense of those that are suffering in the shadow of the church, or that are a stone's throw away from the church or you church people. And look, I'm not saying that I've got it all right and I'm doing everything that I can, because I can't. I could do more and sure could affect more. So I am throwing myself in with everybody. Now I have never been on a mission trip. I've never been on vacation to the Dominican Republic or the Congo or the Amazon or wherever the heck they go. You know what? I never heard of a mission trip where they go to south side of Chicago.
Ooh, well, you know what? There is a fuge camps. They go to all like
not local. We got like in the U.S. Yeah, but I don't know exactly where they go or what they do. I think they usually go to inner city stuff. Well, you're right. I don't know.
Dude, they should go to West Virginia.
Oh yeah.
You want to see people in poverty? Go to West Virginia.
Now there is a few folks that go there. Some of that's been popping up, but so I will say that just to be devil's advocate, so to speak. You know what I mean? There's some of that popping up, but I still, because I had personal experience with that, to where I was like, okay, we're going up here to fix these folks' homes and donate tools and time and all of that.
Yeah.
And it's a great mission. But again, when there's people right down the road from your church, their houses are falling in. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it's just, it's like this. I'm always like this. It's not one or the other for me. But back to what you said, Jesus said.
Yeah. Jerusalem, Judea, and then all folks were. And I'm not saying that, here is better than there. No, there is your home, wherever there is. Start there. And there's here is our responsibility. Yeah. Where you're here. Right. There's speaking of that, there's a thing, called Jerusalem Project. Yes. And that's exactly what they do and that's why they call it Jerusalem Project, is because of that. And they, for 1 week, in the summer, usually it's, youth, but, adults too, will take vacation time, yeah. And you work. Oh yeah. And it's, your houses are falling in. Yeah. And you're going and when it's done, when that week is up, there's a really good friend of mine. Hey, Jeremiah, a really good friend of mine. He's runs Jerusalem Project for his county. I think he still does. But anyway, when there were a lot of projects and they didn't get done in the week. And so here's Jeremiah, after the week is up and the kids are gone and all the dust is settled, he's still going back and finishing the job up. Yeah. And, so it's,
well, they usually go in our county too. We got it from the county you're talking about. Yeah. Well, I would say Cherokee County, Gaffney. Yeah. Did it. They stopped around COVID time. But that was one of the things when we started our youth ministry, Reach, that we were like, we want to see that come back. That was a great, impactful thing.
Yeah. It's not a vacation. It was not, those kids, they work on. They'll work. Yeah. And, I've been involved in it as much as I can. And, and just to see the dedication, that to me is mission trips. That's mission work, and that's a whole lot different from that, to going to Jamaica and,
yeah. And I'm all for this too, empowering the people in those areas to do something similar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's your Jerusalem. So you're responsible for it. Now, if you need a little extra help, we'll give you some extra help. But you should be doing what anyway. We'll have to do it on missions about that. My bad. I don't mean to go. No, all right.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah.
But back to this, I see where you have down here asks and lend.
Yeah.
Kind of break that down for us.
Where in verse 30, we see in verse 30 is ask. Yeah. And again, it's give to everyone who begs from you, and they take away your goods. Do not demand them back. They demand them back. But it's ask. And so this is, in verse 30, it is the person who's in need, who's asking for help. And that's different. And I said before, we talked about, when you can manipulate. Oh, well, I got to walk the town, and if they didn't ask, you volunteer to do it. Yeah. And it's just manipulation, and, but the conversation here is, it is someone who legitimately needs help and is asking for help. Yeah. Can you help me? And, or I can I borrow your shovel? Yeah, here, and you give it without any intention of ever seeing it again. So.
Well, let me stop you right there and ask this, because I was thinking about this, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's okay for me to ask for it back. As far as like, hey man, I could really use that if you're done with it.
Yeah.
But what if they just don't have an intention of giving it back? How should you?
Well, I think you're giving it just like it says, don't demand, if they take your goods, don't demand them back.
Yeah.
It is doing them more good than it's doing you. Like the shovel, you ain't touched that shovel 6 months.
What if it's a car? I'm just saying. But you know what, though? I think we get in the weeds on that because, for one thing, I'm pretty sure they're referring to believers.
Yeah, they see that's where Jesus is talking about here.
And even as believers, if we do this for an unbeliever, we definitely shouldn't expect treatment.
Oh.
But the other side is, if that person did refuse to give it back, I don't know what you're talking about. You didn't give me no car. That kind of thing.
Yeah. That's not what he's dressing here. Yes. Yeah.
But that's a hard issue. That's a whole other thing. That's a whole other. So that's a whole other, nothing to do with this.
Nothing here. This is, again, whether it is a car, you give somebody a car. If you are in a place where you can give a car and you got somebody that's hurting, obviously,
sure.
And you can give a car, then how dare you want to try to get it back? And it's doing them more good than it's doing you.
Yeah.
It's sitting in your driveway and, you may drive it, once a week or whatever the heck it was. And, I don't only drive it on Sundays to church or whatever. Meanwhile, this person needs transportation to get to and from work so they can provide family and keep a roof over their heads. Obviously, it's going to do them more good than you. Very true. So you own it. That's what Jesus is saying. Don't expect it back, especially if what you're giving them or what they're taking from you is going to do them more good and going to bless more people. That, it's not going to bless you. If it's a hammer, that hammer sitting in your garage isn't doing any good, but that hammer in that person's hand, if they're a carpenter, whatever, but, it's going to bless more people. Don't expect it back. Don't do that.
Now, I'm going to jump in and say, have you done verse 35 yet?
No.
Okay. During verse 35, because I got something to throw in at you.
I got a feeling I'm still burgomaster, Mars.
You are?
But in verse 35, Jesus, again, this is just, 5 verses later, Jesus still talking and again, he says, love your enemies and do good and lend. That's really. But here's the thing. Lend is loaning.
Yeah.
But in what Jesus says, he says loan. A loan is you want to get it back. Lending is you're going to get it back. Jesus even says lend, but then he, right after that, he is expecting nothing in return. Now, I'll tell you what he means by that here in just a second. It sounds like it's contradictory, lend, but don't expect anything in return. Well, then you go out lending, you're giving. But no, thinking are you going? I'll tell you what that is in just a moment. And you will, Lord, be great, and you will be called sons and daughters of the Most High. All right, so it sounds contradictory.
Yeah,
but lend, not expect anything in return. No, it's all right. Jamie. I really, really need, I hate to ask you for this, I really need to borrow $50. And you say, yeah, no problem. You're $50 and I charge you interest. You give me $60 back next week. And that's what lending, expecting nothing in return is, I'll lend you the $50,
expecting nothing on top of it.
Right.
Like
trying to make a profit. Make a profit off of your brother or your sister who's in need.
That's what the word does.
Yes.
That's not what we do.
No.
Hey, gotcha.
Can you loan me $50 for payday? I got in the bind. Here's your 50. And then, payday comes. Hey, Jimmy, here's like $50. I owe you.
We're square.
We're square. But that's what he's saying there. When he says expect nothing in return, is you lend. Don't expect. Don't try to make money off people.
Now we get into the other side. This is why I wanted you to read that, because we're getting we're about to step into the stuff now, right? Yeah. Everything thus far, that sounded smart, didn't it, Delroy? Thus far. Everything thus far has been about believers and how we treat each other in times of need and stuff like that. And it's also been about how we, what we expect and what we don't expect and all this other stuff. But it's also about, hey, Clint, let me borrow $50, man. I need it for gas, whatever. You're like, yeah, sure, no problem, right?
Yeah.
And then the next week, Hey, man, not only can I not pay you back, can I get 50 more bucks? And then the next week, 50 more bucks. And it keeps going. And after a minute, whatever that looks like, you're like, dude, are you working? Nah, man, since you started giving me that 50 bucks, I haven't had to work. I don't know who could live on 50 bucks.
Right.
But the point I'm trying to make is this is not talking about somebody
Who's not a believer or who is not trying to do something like you said, I need this car to go back forth to work to provide for my family.
not talking about people who are just deadbeats, lazy, that don't want to do better. They just want a handout. And not correct on that?
Yeah.
That's not who he's addressing.
Not here. Yeah.
Okay. So now
You could really be what you call the Burgermeister.
Yeah.
Step into it. Well, got your German shirt on, you might as well be. Burgermeister,
before I do that, I want to. There's a guy, a singer by the name of Walker Hayes.
Yeah.
Very famous song, AA, and what was the other one? Fancy Like. Yeah, it's just on. Well, before he ever made it big, he was struggling, and they had he and his wife have 5 kids, and they had a car. Car broke down. But the thing about it is, with 5 kids and the car, you can't buckle them all up, right? And so it's like they haven't had the kids and the full board, and stuff. But a car broke down and all this and there. But there's a guy by the name in Africa. He has a song called Craig, and this guy in the church, his name is Craig. And he Walker and his wife, one or two of their sons were at baseball practice. And Craig drove up to the field. And Craig and his wife, and he had a minivan, and he pulls up, and he calls Walker over, and Walker comes over, and he hands him the keys to the minivan.
Yo, wow.
And you listen to the story, and Craig wasn't, and he did it privately. Yeah,
So I got a very similar story to the Walker Hayes one. You were talking, I was like, is this dude, have I shared this with you before? Because I thought you were going somewhere else.
Yeah, I thought that the Dolly Parton story was going to be this one, and I'll just take a minute to share it.
In contrast to that, okay, I'm sitting there debating in my brain, should I say it or not say it, because somebody may be listening, but I will, because I'm just observing this stuff, right?
Yeah.
So there was a guy who was new in town. I was on staff. We're actually on staff at a church yet. Not yet. And there was a guy who was new in town. He had been visiting the local church I'm a part of. And I'm there with the pastor hanging out, all this stuff at his home. He's got this old van. Was he upgraded? Had a lot of mechanical issues. No air, something like that. I said, man, we need an extra vehicle right now. Could we buy it? I wouldn't feel comfortable selling it to you. Hey, I appreciate that. You know what I mean? Not that he was trying to hide what was wrong with it. It was just, I know it's going to be trouble. Well, this other guy comes to town. They're needing a vehicle. He's a brand new manager at Chick-fil-A, which pays pretty good. But he's brand new. You know how it is when you move to a new town, fly out of state, don't know anybody, everything's new. You left everything behind for a new life. And it's like everything I get, I ain't got a place to stay. I'm just staying with some, extended relatives or whatever. Not even that close to. I remember Pastor talking about, man, this guy right here, how cool it'd be to have him in our church. Chick-fil-A and stuff, right? Yeah, we're thinking about all these ulterior motives. I'm gonna let him use this man. He comes over, he signs over the title and everything. He's like, no, this is going to be temporary. If you decide to buy it, man, we'll work something out. If you don't, you can sign it back to me, but this way you can get insurance on it, Understandable, right? Well, he gets it within a couple of weeks. Dude gets antsy and wants it back because the guy was visiting different churches and trying to find where his family fit in. So when the guy pastor figures out he's probably not going to be here, my man back. I've seen it because that is the epitome of giving something and expecting something in return, lending versus expecting nothing in return. And so it just comes back to not let your left hand know what your right hand's doing, all that stuff, right? So we have those stories in contrast. But now when we get on down there, helping someone who was giving effort and is not the same as enabling someone who will not put in an effort. Now we get to the thick of it.
Yeah. Now we get into the listeners.
The main answer to the question. Yeah, like
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's that's where do you draw the line? I guess is where's the line between
showing grace and enabling.
yeah. And I think it comes down to the effort on the other person.
Okay.
I think that's where discernment comes in. Is it's the old saying, give a person a fish, they eat for a day. Teach a person a fish, they eat for a lifetime. And I think that what that is, it's the effort. But you can't teach somebody that's not willing to learn.
Oh, totally.
No, so if they're not willing to put the effort in, then you can't impart on them the knowledge that they would need to fish. So, but if you keep giving the fish to them, why? What? If I'm lazy and again, if I'm just a manipulator, then hey, wow.
Well, it really gets into the same thing of trampling on the blood of Christ, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what Paul talked about above the law and the grace, what we talked about last time. But we didn't address the other part. But he was very much so on, look, don't keep re-crucifying him.
Right.
Don't treat this as a license to do what you want to do, because now you're cheapening the blood of Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
This same thing, you're cheapening that person's gracefulness.
Yeah. Yes. And you're insulting. By extension, you're insulting God.
Oh wow.
So
when you say, this is going to get deep. When you say enable the person to not work, not support themselves, you're also enabling them to sin against God.
Yes.
Oh, I've never thought about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's and I'll go ahead and in Second Thessalonians.
That's the Dutch version. Second Thessalonians.
Socrates. It's so on that word. Anyway, it's chapter 3, verse 10 says, if anyone is not willing to work, let him not eat. And so you take that, couple that back into someone asking for help. Lending and not expecting anything in return. Give to those that are asking for. Once you take Luke's chapter 6, those verses in Luke chapter 6, and you weigh it against 2 Thessalonians 3:10, if he's not willing to work, let him not eat. I think then, when you put those together, then it makes Luke 6 clear.
Well, I was going to say, if you were to read the 2 Thessalonians verse by itself, that's harsh.
Very harsh.
And then when you read in Luke, it's man, that's awesome, right?
Right.
But when you put them together, because if you take either one out of context, you could become a doormat, or you could become a master, or you could just become a turd. Yeah, so it's like you have to balance the context, right?
Okay,
mm-hmm. Makes sense.
So when you put you have the yin and yang. So when I think each verse puts the context.
Yeah,
and you see a clearer picture of what he's talking about. There is
okay.
So you're giving help to someone who wants help, doesn't want to take advantage, and God will have to manipulate. So you have to have discernment, and are you willing not to work? And if you're willing not to work, don't eat.
Yeah,
you can work. You can work. You're just not working because you're manipulating me. And you're taking advantage of me.
Yeah,
and my extension, you're taking advantage of God, and because my grace, my graceful acts, I'm doing in obedience to what God tells me to do.
Yeah. And, if you take that out a little bit further, you think to yourself, when you get wrapped up with enabling someone, right, you're just taking advantage. There's probably at least one, if not more people in your circle who could really use it. who are not going to just take advantage. They just really need a helping hand, but you're not able to.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, and it becomes a very it becomes a very slippery slope if you allow someone to take advantage of you, to manipulate you to the point where it's not just taken away from you, but taken away from your family.
I've done that because I shared that with you in the beginning. I've done that to the point that it hurt my family. And in my mind and in my heart, it was, well, I'm not doing what the Lord told me to do. I'm doing the right thing. But, of course, that was a maturity thing on my part. I had to grow and mature and learn.
Your heart was in the right place. Your head wasn't.
Exactly. So we have to grow. We have to learn. Well, before you go to this next verse, this is great because Lee explained it to me before we got started. I was like, dang, well, Paul, man, this dude, golly. And here's what I'd say. So for the person that was like me a few years ago, and you're out there and you're going, but you know what? I'm supposed to be loving and caring and giving and generous. Yes. But like you said, you've got to balance that with discernment and what Scripture teaches us.
Yes.
And don't just let us be the one show it. Go back and read all this stuff for yourself. Check it out. But for the person that says, I don't want to be, what'd you call him, Burgermeister?
Yeah, you don't know that's the Christmas Rudolph.
Rudolph, what do you call it again, though?
Burgermeister Meisterburger.
Burgermeister Meisterburger. For the person that says, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be a turd. I don't want to be Clint. Right? Because I don't want to be mean. But sorry, you said it. I didn't say it.
I guess. Okay.
But this next one, the way Paul frames this and the way you explained it was like, dude, not only should you not feel bad about not enabling someone to live and take advantage of you, on top of what you said too, it's great. Sin against God. You're helping them to sin against God.
Yeah.
You're not teaching them anything.
Right. Yeah.
But Paul, man, I'm going to let you run with it because he blessed the Corinthians.
Yeah. The church in Corinth, Paul gave them a wake-up call. This is in 2 Corinthians, it's chapter 11, and it's verses 19 and 20. And so there's more to it. I would encourage you to actually read the entire chapter 11.
Dude, just real quick, the letters to the Corinthians, I'm like, if I was like part of, Corinthian First Baptist, I'd have moved by letter, man. It basically is great encouraging, and they're like, hey, anyway, I just have to throw that out there.
So Paul says, but in verses 19 and 20, it says, and after all, you think you are so wise. You enjoy putting up with these fools. You put up with it when they think they are better than you. They steal from you, take advantage of you, use you for everything. They even slap you in your face. I'm ashamed to say that we have been too weak to relate to that foolishness.
That's tough, man. That's some strong language.
Paul. Yes, strong language. So what had happened is that the church in Corinth, they were loving people. They were giving and, great. No, they were becoming doormats. And that's what Paul, it was like a wake-up call. Paul says, they think they're better than you. They're looking down on you. They treat you like slaves. Is one translation would say. And he said, they steal from you and you're taking it, and the church of Corinth was actually pushing back on Paul, telling Paul, no, we're strong in our faith. We're strong in our faith. And this is how, and that's why Paul said, we're just too weak to relate to such foolishness. That's why Paul said he was too weak, it was like, because they was like, we're strong in our faith. And Paul's like, no, you're not strong. That's strong in your faith, and I'm weak. Because and they go as far as even slap you in your face.
So when he says they're stealing from you, I'm assuming what he is talking about is they're taking advantage of your kindness and your grace, and just give me. So technically, he's putting that in the same category as steal.
Yeah, well, no, because he says, they steal from you, they take advantage of you. Now, I think taking advantage is the giving, but stealing, like
Straight
I mean, I would straight up say they're up mistaken.
Yeah, but there's somebody who does it over and over and over. It's almost like they're a thief.
Yeah. Well, but I take it as they just straight up steal from the church and offer freight comes by now, y'all. But instead of putting money in, offer freight comes by and take money out. And it's
I'll never take it, but I've made change. But I ain't take it. These times are tight, man.
but and the thing, but just like straight up stealing, and then the church just turns a blind eye to it and says, "Oh well, we're supposed to be forgiving." They just straight up stole from you.
Wow.
And you're making excuses for them, and that's what Paul was, and that's why Paul that's why it's like brutal language. Paul is, they take it, he says, "You think you're so wise."
But this has not been going on for just a little while. This has been going on since the early church.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. So we have lessons to learn.
Yeah. Here's, I think 2 Corinthians chapter 11, verses 19-20 is exactly what is happening there. What Paul is addressing there is exactly what our listener is referring to.
I say this whenever I can, and it's not often, but when I can buy somebody's meal, I'll do that. Have a right with somebody or whatever. I can't always do it.
Yeah.
But if I can, I'll do that. I don't expect one thing in return. They don't have to buy mine, But that's because people have done that for me when I had tough times. Yeah. I have a good friend too that loaned me some money a while back. I was like, man, I'm just busted. Tough time. I can give it to you in 2 weeks. Cool.
Yeah.
And he ain't rich either. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you have those things. It's like, if you need it from me, you offered to help me. I offered to help you. Yeah. That's what we do for each other. But that is because we trust that person's not going to take advantage. As if that person shows a track record of taking advantage, how should we deal with that?
Exactly like what Paul is saying there. The way you deal with it is you recognize that you're being taken advantage of. Not just you. It's making a mockery of God.
Yeah.
Because our generosity, if you want to use the word grace, our grace to someone, that is mandated by God. So they're making a mockery of God. And at some point, when you realize this and you allow it to go on, you make excuses, just like your church in Corinth. You think you're so wise, and when you're strong in your faith, you're making excuses not only for them, but you're making excuses for yourself. That needs to stop. And what needs to stop is that's when it goes to, you're not going to take advantage of me. I'm a child of God.
Yeah. Yeah.
And by taking advantage of me, by making a mockery of me, you're making a mockery of my Father. You're making a mockery of my Savior, my Lord. And I will help you. And you need help, I will help you. Look, love doesn't keep track of wrongs. They'll keep a record of it. But you need help. I will help you, but I am stopping enabling you.
There you go. And here's the deal. If somebody in your life, like I mentioned earlier when we started about the driving thing with my kids,
Mm-hmm.
If you know somebody in your life who they're in a tough time, but they want help, but they don't know how to get it. Some people grow up in a certain environment. They don't know how to do better. We got a bunch of stuff. Let's don't know how to do better.
Right.
I think like you said, teaching the fish is our responsibility. And I've talked to you about some folks before, young people, like, what can we do to help these guys,
Right.
And when we say help, we don't mean buying their stuff,
Right.
Although that may be part of it. But we're saying, what can we do to get you to a place and enable you, empower you, what's a better word, to be able to not only stand on your own 2 feet, then you can be the person to pass that on one day. I believe that's the mandate to the church, is to grow some folks. And we've seen that, man, through the martial arts school, and a lot of young guys come in with no support, no guidance. And man, they learn how to drive cars and get jobs and all life skills.
Yeah.
But we're talking about people that look you in your face and say, no, I'm good. You keep giving, I'll keep taking, and I'm fine right where I'm at. Not because I'm sick or not capable. I just don't want to. Right. And I guess we get down to, do we just cut those people off? Would it be sinful to cut them out? Like, how do you deal with it as a Christian? I know he's being firm, but yeah.
I don't think, well, I don't, you don't disown them, but I think what will happen is that person, and I don't know any other way of saying it, that leech will let go of you and find another host to suck off of.
Or that's the perfect guy. Like, my man's on the roll tonight.
I don't think it will. Yeah, I don't think you're going to have to say anything or do anything un-Christ-like. Don't disown them, but just, hey, look, I'm not going to be a doormat anymore. I'm not going to let you make a mockery of me, make a mockery of my faith. What? Make a mockery of my God who has told me that I need to extend grace. I need to love the unlovable because I was unlovable and God loved me. Yeah, I am going to reflect Him. And you got to remember now, Christ, He also flipped tables over in the temple, and He made a whip and drove people out of the temple. Absolutely. So there's a part of discipline there.
Yeah.
A parent never enjoys having to discipline their child, but you do so for their betterment. Well, and I think this is another thing. It is, you won't have to discipline that person, and that means you won't have to stop scutable on them, but don't disown them.
Yeah, well, again, when I mean cut off, I mean like cut off the flow of,
Yeah, but don't disown them. You're still there, for them or whatever. But what you're going to see is they're going, like I said, they're going to leech off of somebody else.
So going back to the way we tied in with grace, and this is going to sound like a work saying, I don't want it to come off that way. So if it does, you correct me, jump in, save me.
Wow.
But there's an expectation for maturity, growth. Grace is the beginning of a relationship. There's nothing to do on our part.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I think it's expected by God that we grow. That's why He says it's the Holy Spirit to teach us and things like that, right?
Milk of the word, meat of the word. Yes. There is growth. There's no way you get around the milk and meat. Matter of fact, Paul even talks about the fact that you need to stop. You need to stop.
You off the milk, you on the, quit. You put the bottle down and grab a fork.
There we go. You get that steak, baby. Yeah, I get the steak. Because I was thinking about it, and I'm like, man, well, we had a baby. We expect that baby, unless something is mentally wrong, is going to grow, and they're going to roll over, and they're going to crawl, they're going to wobble. There's a Delaware when they do that, and we celebrate those growth points. And it would be the same with this. It's like, if you want to grow, I'll help you grow. We will equip you. Again, enabling and equipping, two completely different things. And the expectation, too, is that you will multiply and duplicate after your own kind. You'll pass it on, and that's how this thing grows, right? And I think that's just the mark. How do we know if somebody's taking advantage? They're not trying. And then the question is, can they? Are they incapable? Is something wrong here? Most of the time.
This is after dark, so I'm going to say it. How sickening is it to have a 40-year-old that's still breastfeeding?
Whoa. If I saw that at the park, I'm not going to lie, I would lit 2 or 3 times. I would be like, am I drink? What? I'd take a picture and be like, all right, y'all got later. Yeah, this is weird. They're weird.
This is, yeah. And then you call the police.
Yeah.
Then it would just be the weirdest thing. Yes. Oh, but that's
close. Yeah. The big, yeah. Yeah. But well, what I'm saying, like, you're not growing up. Exactly.
But and it's not that you're not growing up, but the mother is not allowing you to grow. The mother is.
It was abnormal. That's what you would say. That's abnormal. That is not the natural flow of things. Right. Yes. Yeah. And I think that you've hit it on the head, man, because it's evil both ways. It's evil to take advantage of somebody, man. It's just as wicked to not. Don't you know better? I ain't gonna be here. If things go like it should, my kids will bury me.
Mm-hmm.
What am I leaving them? Am I leaving them with skills to live their life?
Sure.
You reference your dad and mom all the time. Yeah. They're not here with us anymore, but they're in a great cloud of witnesses. We believe that. And they have equipped you to be the man, the husband, the father, the man of God that you are. And I'm looking and thinking, I always just put it like that. What's going to happen to them if you keep enabling them and then you're not around?
Yeah.
Don't you love them? Well, yeah.
Oh, wow.
I love them. And I think God said that. I discipline the ones I love.
Yes. Yeah.
You say, You said disciplinarily, and all I could think was, man, in our society, it's become this dirty word.
Oh,
But military, martial arts, we've both been in those circles. Work, relationship, family. Discipline is a requirement for things to run smoothly and be healthy. Yes. Because you said that earlier, and I think discipline is not a bad word. It was not a bad thing. And I know my kids and your kids probably thought we hated it at times. When can we get above the bed? Making me do chores, you know? But then it's like, and my kids have told me, thank you for hearing that. Thank you, because now I'm a productive person, an adult. So, yeah. Yeah, I think I will say this, man, and I'll let you address this because I think you got a little bit more. We've kind of come down to the end, but I'll say this and then let you take it home. The reason that I had such a hard time, Clint, backing off of enabling somebody, because I did genuinely love the lure to love that person. And then when I would see them not do better, you know what I mean? Like not trying to do before. And then everything would just go crazy in their life and fall apart. I felt like I needed to rescue. And I felt like I was the person in sin and wicked and unloving if I didn't. And here's the cherry on top. I'm going to let you try to figure this one out. When that person that you care about looks at you and says, but don't you love me?
Manipulation.
Balls in your court.
Yeah. Well, look, there's a big difference between supporting a genuine need and encouraging laziness and exploitation. And that's what you do when you're enabling somebody. You're encouraging. You're teaching that person that exploitation is good.
Oh, wow. It ain't no mistake. They're exploiting you.
Yeah, they're exploiting you, and you're teaching them that you're rewarding them for doing that. Yeah, it's there's a big difference between that and meeting a genuine need.
Yeah, I get you.
Again, it's like I can borrow a shovel, and I use that shovel to plant my garden and feed myself.
Yeah.
Or I can just come over and ask you for some vegetables. Now, what are you going to give me? You want to give me vegetables, or you going to give me a shovel? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think giving the shovel, that's the encouraging, supporting a genuine need, and
I'm laughing because I thought you were going to say, I take that shovel and hit somebody in the head, Billy and bury him. I was like, where are you going with this, man? That's where my mind went.
This is in Galatians chapter 6, and it's verses 2 and verse 5. In verse 2, Galatians 6:2, Paul tells the church in Galatia, it says, carry one another's burdens. Then 3 verses later, he says that each one of you should carry his own load. Like that kind of how to yeah. We should carry. In verse 2, carry one of those burdens. In verse 5, carry your own load. Build your own stuff. Yeah. It looks like it's it's pretty cut and dry right there. Yeah, that one verse undermines the other, but it doesn't. It's actually a balance. And what it means, he means both. And also to clarify that, let's say I have 100 pounds of burdens, and Jamie, you have 100 pounds of burdens. Okay, so what do Lord? Yep. And so that 2 was in verse 2 says we carry one of those burdens. So I'll reach over. You're struggling. You're getting tired.
Yeah.
Give me 50 pounds of that. And so now I still got my 100 pounds of burdens, but I'm going to carry 50 of yours. Yeah. And so you get a rest, you get reprieve, you renew your strength, you take the 50 pounds back, and now I'm struggling.
And then same for you.
Take 50 pounds of mine. Okay. Yeah. So now we're bearing one of those burdens, but we also carry our own load.
So he's basically saying you help each other when you need it, but at the same time, you handle your own responsibilities.
Yeah. You when you tell me, hey, let me lighten your load. Here's 100 pounds. Like, yeah, that's not what he's saying though, right? okay, that's not what he's saying there. But that's why he says you should carry your own load. So bear one of those burdens, but carry your own load, and that's where it's going.
I've never read it that way or paid that any attention. You really I wish I'd heard this a few years ago. I tell you what, man, I think, but in order for this type of dynamic to work, you have to have two people who are believers who understand, what's required on both sides, and that, hey, the same thing that you're helping me with today, I might have to try and help you later. And we have to both be in agreement on those things, right? So, yeah, I mean, I would say I'm going to give my 2 cents and turn it over to you. I think you did an excellent job with this one. No, later. I was nervous on this one. You might have been Meister Burger Rivera. I mean, I am so excited. This was a good one because the thing is, I think every one of us guys out there have had somebody to take advantage of us. Maybe you've taken advantage of people. We've probably all done that time or other. We're all teenagers.
Oh, good.
But here's the deal. The bottom line is this, is if somebody was taking advantage and being a person that just wanted to be enabled, I would have this question, and I wish I knew this before because I'd have it now. Are you saved? Like, are you in a relationship with Jesus? And if you're not, that's just a great starting point. But if you are, then do we understand this? And it could open the door for a discipleship type of a situation, right? But if you have a person that says, Lord, I don't care about any of that stuff, just keep giving. That's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
Whole nother situation. And where I say cut off the flow of the resources, right? Person, like you clarified. Yeah. But to cut off the flow of the resources, it is not wicked. It is not evil. In fact, I would say that's the most holy thing you could do.
Yes.
To not allow them, like you said, to take advantage of God through us, make a mockery of his grace, and on point with that. So don't be afraid to cut off the flow with somebody, but also have a hard conversation. Because at the end of all of it, when you dig down deep past all these different layers that people have, there's something spiritual going on. Yeah. There's something spiritual there that you at least have an opportunity to address, right?
Right.
Because I would think that the hope and the goal is just like we said with the kid, we celebrate those moments of growth, those milestones. Well, maybe we don't uncover an opportunity to witness the gospel or have that person realize, do you know what you're doing is sinful? And maybe they just look at you and say, nobody's ever taught me, But then you could say, well, let's help you grow so you don't have to be a person who's an neighbor. So that's just where I would drive it home. And I would say it's tough, especially when you're close and you care about somebody. That's hard, but what did you say? Are you going to keep hurting yourself and your family?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It's just.
Yeah. And that's where it comes down to. It's eventually going to get to the point where, it's hurting you, it's hurting your family. And
I like what you said earlier too, because the concern for people that are enabling was like, what are they going to do if I cut off the flow?
They're going to leach somewhere else. They're not going to go hungry all.
Oh gosh, no. Okay, no, they're not going to do that. Yeah, because they're
it might make you think they are. Oh yeah, hit or not. Oh yeah. That master manipulate.
Yeah, that master manipulators. That's because that's step 2. Oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Oh, poor pitiful me, and
you're stronger than I am. Go to work. How will it be me? But man, the guys with the signs hadn't eaten in days. Oh yeah, I saw a guy with a sign not long ago. And I had my youngest, my teenager, out of the mouth of babes. And this joker here, he's a hefty fella.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he ain't missing a meal.
Yeah, that's what she said. She's like, hadn't eaten for days. So he could stand a few more days.
Shut up! You don't know early, guys. I love that shit.
Oh, you know what? I love it. So,
if you're good,
I'm good, man.
All right. So you have been watching and listening to After Dark with Jamie and Clint. I'm Clint. He's Jamie.
I'm still Jamie.
And we'll see you next week. Until then, tell your mama I said, hey.
listening to After Dark with Jamie and Clint. Visit our website at www.adwjc.com. This is Delroy. Until next time, thanks for listening.